Hello everyone, it's your girl Miss Angie, and we are back on this series talking about basically me not allowing God to be active in my relationships, not allowing God to be first in my relationships. So anyways, in this video, I wanted to talk about laying the foundation when it comes to the foundation that's set or laid for the beginning stages of relationships. And I've always talked about it and in past videos about me seeing my mother, my aunts in marriages, and they always seem like functional marriages and stuff like that. I understand that everything is not perfect, but from me growing up and seeing it, it looked like the normal marriage. And of course, when you're young and you're a Christian and you're told to, be married and have kids, if that's what you choose and stuff like that, I'm going off of what I see, of course. So my mom being a good wife, taking care of her kids, the same, like I said, with my aunts and my uncles and their relationships. I never really seen a lot of division, and if there was division, I'm sure that was done where, in private or whatever the case may be. Because of course, I understand now as you get older, yes, all relationships are not perfect. But I think when we go back talking about the foundation, which is things that we see, what is laid out for you, a lot of people will say that, and even before I get on this, I wanted to touch base on, I talk a lot about Pastor Michael Todd and his series on relationship goals. And I learned a lot just in that series alone, and I was in my 20s. So this just goes to show you, when you're starting to learn things, I kind of learned a lot of these foundational things later. And of course, he also mentioned it in his series as well. So when we go back to the foundation and things that we see real quick before I jump into other portion of that, when we look at that, and I want to make sure I word this correctly, when we think about different intimacy topics and things that we have learned, 9 times out of 10, and what he mentioned in his series is that it could be, taught from friends, people in school, young kids in school. A lot of these things kids are learning are because of kids that are in school that they see and they interact with. Unfortunately, a lot of assault, people who have been assaulted in that manner, deal with that topic a lot early on because it may have happened during childhood, and like I said, younger ages, right? So already, if these things are happening, the foundation is being built on shaky ground pretty much. We know that when kids talk, they're only talking about things that they have learned or seen. But if they haven't been taught it properly, because we're saying learned as far as like just that learned behavior, things that you see in school, if they're not being taught properly, then they're going to continue to keep going with this narrative of thinking it's okay. Sexual assault, things of that nature. When these things happen, a lot of people are prone to be quiet, to not talk about it, and these are happening to people at young ages. So then when of course, yes, parents say talk, speak up, but a lot of kids don't feel that comfort space to speak up, and they don't, and they live with that going into their adulthood. They live with that, the conversations and things that they have been taught by kids, or situations that have happened to them, and it leads into adulthood. That is the foundation. One of the key points that Pastor Mike was saying was that the foundation should be laid in church with the adults, talking about these situations, not making kids feel or young adults feel ashamed about things that are happening with their bodies, feelings that they are having with their bodies. So when you look at that, you look at there should be an adult, there should be that church, something that's talked about in church, but it isn't. So a lot of us are out here, middle school, high school, going into these relationships blind, not knowing about boundaries. Now, if your parents have taught you that, that's perfect. My parents have taught me for sure how a marriage should look and how you should respect each one, each other. And then there was also things that I didn't know. There were also areas that were kind of gray. And like I said, this stuff wasn't taught to me in church. It could have been taught to some of you guys out there, but it wasn't taught to me in church. So now, when we talk about the foundation being laid, what foundation do we have other than something that may have happened to us, which was a negative experience, or things that we may have learned from other people, other individuals, social media, back then, of course, TV, commercials, things that are over sexualized. And now you're into the world thinking that, yes, this is what a relationship should look like on top of what I have seen. But then going into the real world, look at how these individuals are acting. Look at how these men and women are moving. It's all about the whole look and the style and everything of just romanticizing almost what this relationship should look like. And so now young individuals are going out here and looking for these things, and then these relationships end toxic, because one thing that my counselor has talked to me about is that these things are a lot of inner things that people don't deal with. And so when you start to get into these conversations with people, these conversations don't go deep enough for us to really learn and talk to people and explore what this may look like. I usually say now, learning that dating, you definitely have to make it a process when it comes to dating, because you're not going to know off of the first few weeks some of the struggles or some of the red flags in people. You have to continue to have those conversations. That's why dating is so important. So real quick, not making it long, looking at the foundation is the first step. Understanding the people that you are dealing with, understanding the red flags, setting the boundaries is important. And I do feel like a lot of times, I'm sure now a lot of more churches are talking about it, but when I was growing up, churches weren't having that conversation about relationships or sexual, conversation. And so a lot of us were out there blind unless you had, parents that may have talked to you about it, or older, siblings who have been through certain things that can talk about it. But 9 times out of 10, kids are out here just going off of social media, going off of what friends are talking about, going off of just, like I said, me growing up as a Christian was basically don't engage in that type of activity until you're married. But then it was like, well, how do you find the man? Like, how does he find me? Like, what happens? It's so many different gray lines in that. So anyways, this was just a quick video talking about the foundation. We have to start with the foundation first before we start building. And I think before I really start talking about my journey, it's just important to know that for me, the foundation was halfway there, but not fully there. And there was a lot that I had to learn. So anyways, you guys, I hope you guys are going to enjoy this series, starting to enjoy this series. And I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye.